parents have got to become and stay educated, and they have to have continuing education as well. As educators, we are trying to stay ahead of the curve right now. We are seeing a lot of kids interacting with AI in what I would call some very unhealthy ways, almost treating them like a human being or a friend. And there's sexting going on between students and AI, which we are very concerned about. It's not a healthy environment.
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. This is our District Talk segment where we interview district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media. And we also ask them questions that we get from parents all over the country in our program. Now, let's get back to the interview.
Hi, I'm Dr. John Federline. I'm Superintendent of Union Public Schools in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're a suburban district that straddles parts of Tulsa and Broken Arrow. We have just under 15,000 students and 19 school sites.
Superintendent, it's so great to have you here today as we talk at smartsocial.com about how to keep kids safe on social media so they can be wildly successful in class, in the school building, and at home so that someday they can shine online and be on social media in a way that brands them so they can get any job, any internship they want, get to the interviews they want. Parents who are watching right now, we are honored to have you here today on what we call the Superintendent Spotlight. We're addressing real parent questions that we get from our millions of viewers and visitors all over the country in 29 different states that we're in. And I'm excited today to have a guest expert that's going to walk us through some of these tips. So Superintendent, the first question I have for you here today is about parent participation. I hear from superintendents all over. For the last 13 years that I've run this company, Josh, if we can just partner with parents, maybe we can overcome some of these problems. And so I want to get your insight for other districts nationwide watching. What are your suggestions for other districts to increase parent engagement? And are there any specific channels, events, blunders, ideas, successes that you have that get the biggest turnout, the biggest engagement, the biggest parent participation?
So I'm so glad you asked that. We really see at Union, we view parental participation as our responsibility as administrators. If we don't have parental participation in a certain area, that's our responsibility. That's something that we want to change. I think communication is the key through as many different mediums as possible, making sure that parents are aware of these things. If we've got events that we hold at our school sites, we don't get a lot of participation. We try to go to where the parents are. We try to make it more convenient for them. We have about an 80% free and reduced lunch rate in our districts, and we want to make sure that we make our times convenient for parents. We know a lot of them are single parents, maybe working 2 jobs, don't have time to come at traditional times like after school. So we want to provide multiple times to make sure they have those opportunities. You talked about parental participation in anticipation of this podcast. I was talking to our tech director about the tools that we offer, and we offer one called LiveWise. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's a tool that we use to monitor keystrokes and monitor web traffic on our district distributed devices. And for the first time this year, we allowed parents to have access to that as well. And we communicated that out at the beginning of the year and said, parents, you can see what your kids are doing on our district distributed computers, our laptops. And we only had about 4% participation. And like I said at the beginning of this answer, that's our responsibility to communicate that better and to make sure that parents understand and are aware that service exists for them free of charge.
I love your answer. I just want to double click on this. There's one of my favorite books I think is really neat. It's called Extreme Ownership. And that's you taking extreme ownership going, we will do our best and put 120% in. We'll lean into the problem and create a solution. I love this approach. Other district leaders, how refreshing is this to see parents, your district loves you. They want to work with you. Go on campus, talk to them, go to the parent night events, show them your love and support, offer tips, ideas. You can see the superintendent going, we're trying different stuff. We're opening up and creating transparency. I think that's refreshing. And I get to talk to a lot of districts, hundreds of districts. So that's great. Superintendent, the next question I have for you is around excessive screen time impact on student behavior. And this is just a devastating one. As this month, we talk about the pros and cons of video games. I've been on the news as of today 34 times because of this excessive screen time impact student behavior. It is a problem both on campus, off campus. My question for you is, how are you seeing excessive screen time impact kids' motivation, self-esteem, academic performance, and decision-making in your district?
Sure, absolutely. That's a great question. I just like everyone else across the country, we struggle with this, and we know that we have kids and families that really struggle with this. Our counselors are our biggest source of information for these type of questions. We are a hope-centered district. We use the work of Dr. Chan Hellman, who wrote an incredible book titled Hope, and we have seen over the last few years a huge increase in problems relating to be honest, sleep deprivation. We know how important it is for kids to get quality sleep, especially in those middle school years. We always talk about it when our important testing dates are coming up. Hey, you kids need a good night's sleep. But in my role as an assistant principal, and now superintendent, when we talk to students that are oftentimes struggling, one of the first questions we ask is, how much sleep are you getting? And whatever they say, we follow that up and say, how much sleep are you really getting? And we hear from parents all the time that they're up till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, sometimes all night, on their screens, on their phones, playing video games, which, as you well know, video games have become another source of social media. It's not like it was, when I was playing video games and had my Atari and my Nintendo in my living room. Now it is a multiplayer headset, full communication all over the planet. And kids get a lot of positive reinforcement for these things. And so we talk to parents all the time how important it is to set quality boundaries, how important it is to have rules and consequences for breaking those rules, and to make sure that kids understand that all those electronics, they really belong to the parents, as does the internet. There's a lot of things parents can do to help us, and there's a lot of things that we can do to help parents and reinforce these things. We reinforce over and over with our parents that we are a team. We are on the same team here, and the goal we share is to help your child be successful.
Superintendent, I'm going to double click on a few things you said because it's really a gold mine of opportunity here to talk about. And parents, if you're listening right now, if you had an Atari as a kid, which we all did, right? And if you were privileged enough to have one that hooked up to a TV, what's that? And all these things. And those weren't as addictive. By the way, I've sat down with the founder of Atari, the same founder as the founder of Chuck E. Cheese, believe it or not. I sat down with him, gone over some things, really a living legend. But they weren't as addictive. They didn't have the budget to hire psychologists, therapists, counselors to make their program more addictive with the color red and the sounds and the addictive nature of points and stuff like that. I mean, it was just like having a lot of fun. Parents yelled at you and said, turn it off. You're like, okay, I'll go to dinner. Didn't have all the stuff that we have. And it wasn't on a battery wireless. You had to sit in front and everybody's begging for that controller. So parents, if you're like, oh, I played video games as a kid, I'm fine. It was a different world back then. And now there are psychologist jobs where you can get a job at EA, nothing against these big electronic arts video game companies, but they will hire people based on colors and addiction, and they are creating drugs to get your kids' eyeballs addicted. Superintendent, tell me, did I get it wrong? What do you think?
No, absolutely. We see a lot of similar behaviors. That endorphin hit that we know kids get out of substance abuse, it's the same thing that kids get out of gambling. It's the same things they get out of video games and honestly likes on social media. As adults, we can see it and we can see how powerful it is for them. And so, we set boundaries at school. We've got a kind of graduated responsibility for our kids where in grades pre-K all the way through 8, we don't allow cell phones on at any time during the day. At night, we allow them kind of before and after school. And then at high school, we let teachers set the boundary there because a lot of our kids use their cell phones for work and school purposes, and we realize that. And the goal is good digital citizenship for our students. We know that online technology is not going anywhere. With the advent of AI, it's becoming more and more important for kids to become good critical thinkers. But one of the things we talk about all the time is technology is a tool. You control it, don't let it control you.
Absolutely great. Okay, I feel like we could talk for hours, Superintendent. I love this. We got a couple more questions for you here in just a moment. But for all of our audience watching right now, the Smart Social hosts 50 plus live incredible events all year long. I used to be one of the top social media safety speakers in the country. After I left Disney brand marketing, I started flying around the country, getting requests from school districts. Will you train our kids how to not get fired and instead get hired? They're using this Instagram thing to mess up their brand. So what I'm about to do is share one of the hottest questions we get from parents, and then one of the answers from real teens in the program. So parents are asking us, Josh, what advice would you give a student to help them recognize some of the red flags of a dangerous stranger? Smart Social covers the dangers, success, and shining online. But let's go to the dangers first. Let's hear from a real student about how she might help a friend recognize these red flags.
If I had a friend talking online to a stranger, I think that I would feel a little bit uncomfortable with the whole situation. I would advise against it because so many indirect issues can come from that, and it could cause something to be worse than if they had just unadded them in the first place. Some red flags that I would have to advise them to cut it off with this person or to stop engaging would be if the person starts to get very involved in their personal life, and they seem to be very intrigued in what's going on with them and wanting to know all little details about what they do and who they are, and just very personal details and things that you wouldn't normally share with a stranger in real life. If they're very persistent and constantly wanting to talk to my friend or constantly trying to be involved in their life or wanting to speak to them, I feel like that's kind of a red flag. Another thing would be if they ask them to ever meet them anywhere in person right from the start. If they feel, for instance, being uncomfortable, or their intuition is just saying it's wrong, or if my intuition is saying something feels wrong with this, then I think that's a major red flag.
Parents, what you just watched is, instead of you being the bad person saying, don't talk to strangers, we have real teens in the program. You bring your teens to the Parent Night program. If your school district is a partner, please come. Consider bringing your kids if you want and get real tips. We have a lot of teens in every one of our evening programs. The weekly live parent events, gone are the days of Josh flying to your city. Now we're in your city 50 times a year. There's never an event that you miss because there's another one next week. There's another one in 2 days in multiple languages. There's real teens in the program, and there's a premium parent newsletter. So you're never missing out. It's in your inbox. Here's a quick clip of what it looks like on the news. This is what, when it goes right in a district. Parents, again, if your district is a partner, we want to see you because we have giveaways and prizes and all kinds of neat stuff. You are the one that needs to decide whether it's too much screen time or just right.
But parents and teachers know when it comes to teenagers and social media, that's easier said than done. So in an effort to protect students from the dangers of being chronically online, schools are doing something you might not expect, asking parents to get online too.
It makes an awareness to parents and students. It also gives them an understanding of some of the warning signs.
That's just one reason why Deron Wilson, an executive director of school engagement, says his district uses the app Smart Social. It's an online app designed to educate parents and students on how to avoid strangers and dangerous situations online.
Kind of like, I want to say, a trap. When you get involved in the cyberbullying, you might start friending somebody on an app, or somebody might say, hey, they might send me your picture.
Smart Social founder Josh Oakes says while there are a lot of things that can and should scare us online, the increased number of parents he is able to reach underscores the importance of growing social gathering spaces online.
Back in the day, I used to be one of the top social media safety speakers nationwide, but I was flying around to certain school districts, and they're the best of intentions, but only 20 or 30 parents would show up. We get 10 times the amount of parents to show up, and they want to learn from the convenience of their home or office how to keep their kids safe on social media. They want to ask live questions. They want to learn how to have dialogue starters with your kids that actually get their kids excited about talking with their parents and strengthening that relationship.
Darcy Wertique, Spectrum News.
Okay, parents, remember, every single week there's a different opportunity happening. We have all kinds of different stuff that's searchable. All right, we're back to our expert. So, Superintendent, I want to talk with you about the behaviors contributing to chronic absenteeism, such a big one that we're hearing so many districts talking about. Some districts are saying screen time, sleep disturbances, maybe screen time fatigue, increased anxiety, depression, and cyberbullying are contributing to absenteeism. Are you seeing this or any other related online behaviors impacting students' attendance at school?
Absolutely. We had an attendance initiative this year from the very beginning of the year to really increase our average daily attendance and decrease a lot of our chronic absenteeism. We've seen some good results in that, but throughout the year, we've learned from students and parents, what are the real reasons? We're having an open survey right now to our parents to let us know what can we as a school district do better to help your kids attend school. And some of the data that I'm seeing from parents and some of the things I've heard anecdotally have to do with screen time. It's staying up too late. It's saying, yes, I'm going to bed, and then still having access to their phone or a screen. It's being online and playing video games. And I think the cyberbullying is a whole nother aspect of this that causes some issues with some of our most vulnerable students. It's 24 hours a day. There's no getting away from it. When I was in school, if there was a bullying situation, I'd go home, or my friends would go home, and everything was taken care of for the evening. You were home, you were with friends, you were with family until the next day. Now for kids, it is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're interacting with people. They're seeing other people's reactions to whatever the situation is. And too often it blows up during the next school day, or it causes some real social and emotional problem for the student who's being the victim of all this.
Parents, what you're really hearing our guest expert, the superintendent, say today is everything in moderation can be okay as a family, right? I like to see it as ice cream. I love frozen yogurt and ice cream. I might have a problem. It's so good. But I make sure I use a small cup if I'm eating it at home, a small dosage, and I do it with people, right? And that way, any screen time you have that's together as a family or ice cream, then you can always have a little bit more. It's great. But are you doing that every single night, a whole gallon of it? Probably not. And if you put a gallon of ice cream next to your kid's bed, we like to say at Smart Social, are they going to be able to go to bed, or are they going to be eating that? And it will absolutely change their sleep because of the sugar. Well, guess what also has sugar? This device. And for those of you listening on audio, I'm holding up the iPhone or the Android that you've probably given your kid or they're begging for. This is just like ice cream, extreme sugar on their eyeballs, and will keep them up. So can we do it in small amounts? And should they sleep with ice cream next to their bed? No. Should they sleep with their cell phone next to their bed if they're under the age of 16? Probably not. It probably belongs in the parent's room, bathroom, or wherever to charge and so on. Again, there's no shame at Smart Social. It's just some parents go, I didn't even know I had that opportunity. Okay, Superintendent, the last question I have for you is about screen time impact on home environment, which we're talking about right now. What do you suggest parents can do to create a more peaceful environment at home and set boundaries around excessive screen time and gaming?
Well, I think the answer is right there in the question. Boundaries are hugely important. You talked about the ice cream analogy a moment ago, and I think that's perfect. Parents are very willing to step in there and create these boundaries on any situation that become unsafe. They teach kids from a very young age, do not touch this stove. It's hot. It can hurt you. Don't do these activities because they are dangerous. We've got to start treating social media and gaming in the same way. Not that they're inherently dangerous, but like you said, moderation is important. Age appropriateness is important. Parents have got to become and stay educated, and they have to have continuing education as well. As educators, we are trying to stay ahead of the curve right now. We are seeing a lot of kids interacting with AI in what I would call some very unhealthy ways, almost treating them like a human being or a friend. And there's sexting going on between students and AI, which we are very concerned about. It's not a healthy environment. I loved what the young lady had to say earlier as far as red flags for parents. I would add to that anyone they're talking to online a lot. I would also add to that any kind of behavior changes that they see. You know, for decades in education, we thought behavior change, that might be a sign of drug use. And it still might, definitely, but it can also be a sign of over-involvement with online activity in a situation that's not very healthy for them. I think those boundaries are hugely important, and it's hugely important for parents to stay educated.
Yeah, so well said. Parents who are watching right now, remember smartsocial.com is your resource as we round out this episode. You can join our next live parent events, the pros and cons of video games, what parents need to know. We have 3 sessions a month of that. Pros and cons in Espanol, no one's left behind, the impact of screen time on motivation, health, and academics. And we have a ton of replays. So you've got a deep dive into our pros and cons, understanding social media's impact on teens, Espanol versions, really any topic that you want is a live program with guest experts. We have 8 experts in every program, and 2, 3, or 4 of them are teens, which is incredible. Superintendent, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been a real pleasure. Really enjoy talking about this topic. I think it's great what Smart Social does for parents and for schools. I think the more that we talk about these topics, the better off we'll all be.
Thank you so much. For all the parents watching today, remember there is no shame wherever you're at with your screen time journey. We're here to support you. Smart Social really cares about your success with your kid, not just so that they can learn online, but they can be safe, successful while they're in your walls of your home and in the walls of the school. And someday they can shine online. And I want to remind every parent here, no matter where your kid's at online, remember to keep it light, bright, and polite when you're posting, because your kids are watching what you're doing online. We'll see all of you on the next episode. I'm Josh Oakes, the founder of smartsocial.com. Have a great rest of the day. Thanks for listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. Smart Social helps parents understand technology and social media to keep their kids safe and successful. Be sure to join one of our weekly online live events to become the smartest parent on the block so you can keep your kids safe and protect their future. Also, don't miss our 450 plus online resources and replays you can watch on demand in multiple languages. Are you a school district wanting to unlock these resources for your parents? Reach out to us so we can protect your whole community each week. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you on the next episode.